Alright, what's up everybody? Brian here, and this is my review and my thoughts on last night's episode of Impact Wrestling slash Under Pressure. That was the name of last night's episode. So let's get right into it. I know I have not done a review videos in the last couple of weeks, but hopefully I'll be able to do more review videos and give my thoughts on the episodes of Raw, SmackDown, Impact Wrestling, Lucha Underground when it comes back June 13th, which is in a couple of weeks. But last night's episode of Impact I thought was pretty good, except for the opening match, which was Eli Drake taking on Scott Steiner. This one, if you guys haven't watched it yet, haven't watched last night's episode of Impact yet, I would recommend skipping this matchup because it was terrible. Not because of Eli Drake. He did his best to try to make the match look good, but Scott Steiner, I don't know if it was just because he hasn't been in a one-on-one match. He's been mainly, since coming back to Impact Wrestling, has been mostly in tag matches, so really did not look very good in this match. However, Eli Drake defeated Scott Steiner last night on Impact using the same way that they lost the tag team championships to DJZ and Andrew Everett a couple of weeks ago. While the Steiner pushed the referee down, Eli Drake was on the outside of the ring. There was a steel chair outside the ring as well, and Eli Drake used that to hit Scott Steiner in the face with the chair and scored the win. So that was not the best match at all. The rest of the card, or the rest of the show, was actually very good. We had, basically to go back a little bit, we had a clip of Sanjay Dutt meeting with most of the Impact Wrestling roster to talk about the recent string of attacks by an unknown assailant on several backstage people, as well as Joseph Park. The latest victim was, from I believe last week, was Jimmy Jacobs. So pretty much Sanjay Dutt was telling all the roster, or most of the roster that was there, saying that, don't panic. That management has got this under control. They've called the proper authorities, all this stuff. Then I believe it was Caleb Connolly spoke up and said about, well, why are they just attacking the roster as well as backstage people and not attacking management? And Petey Williams, who was in that meeting, he stood up and said, listen, if Sanjay says that they have everything under control, then we shouldn't panic, all this stuff, which kind of begs the question, who's been, where this is leading as far as who is behind these attacks. We did see another victim of this attack, of an attack. It was Sanjay Dutt, who was found backstage. The only thing about that situation was that Petey Williams was kneeling beside Sanjay when he was found. Then he started yelling at a cameraman who was filming it, who was seeing what was going on, and basically told the cameraman, what do we have to film everything? Go get some help, acting like he was concerned. But so I don't know. I mean, the way that this storyline is going, it it seems like now they're trying to put a little bit of suspicion on Petey Williams as to maybe he's the one that's behind these attacks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that whole storyline, and I'm hoping that it leads somewhere that's worth the the intrigue of this whole angle or storyline they have going with these attacks. So hopefully it leads to like I said, hopefully it leads to something good or something that's that is worth the intrigue as far as who is behind these attacks. Let's see what else we had on Impact last night. Well, we saw two championships change hands. One was the Knockouts Championship in a last rites match, which was basically a coffin match. It was Su Yung defeating Allie to become the new Knockouts Champion. This one was actually pretty good. This was a coffin match. No disqualification, no countouts. First knockout to place her opponent into the coffin wins the match. Su Yung won with incapacitated Allie with the mandible claw, and that put her in the coffin. And then Su Yung shut the lid. So Impact, or the Knockouts division, has a new champion in the unpredictable Su Yung. So it'll be interesting to see who is going to be next, who will step up to challenge as the first contender to Su Young's championship reign now that she is the new champion. We also saw Austin Aries become the new Impact Wrestling World Champion. He defeated Pentagon Jr. on last night's Under Pressure episode of Impact. This was actually a match that saw twice both men getting counted out. And then basically the first time they got double count out, both guys wanted this. I believe it was Austin Aries that asked for the match to be restarted. Then Pentagon was like, ring the bell. The second time was Pentagon saying, no. We restart the match. Right as soon as the referee went to ring the bell, Austin Aries delivered a low blow to Pentagon Jr. behind the referee's back, and then the brainbuster to pin Pentagon Jr. and become the new Impact Wrestling World Champion for the third time. Also, Austin Aries is also the current Impact Grand Champion. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next week as far as that whole situation is concerned, as and what's going to happen next between these two coming up next week. We also saw Madison Rayne score what some people might say a surprising victory over Tessa Blanchard in a match that was also very good. It was a match that saw Tessa dominating most of the match, and Madison Rayne capitalized on one mistake that Tessa made in that match. She hit a move on Madison Rayne when the referee only counted two after Madison Rayne kicked out. Tessa got mad at the referee, started arguing with him. She then would turn around and try to go for that hammerlock DDT, but Madison reversed it and rolled her up into a schoolgirl pin, and Madison Rayne defeated Tessa Blanchard, giving Tessa her first loss in Impact Wrestling. Some people might say it was a surprising victory, but I wouldn't think that. I don't think that at all. I think it was, Madison. She could beat anybody on any given night. So a big victory for Madison Rayne last night on Under Pressure. We saw Brian Cage once again improving his winning streak as he defeated Desmond Xavier. Desmond gave it everything he had, but the drill claw from Brian Cage finished off Desmond Xavier. So that was a huge victory for Brian Cage. He now moves on and will be challenging Matt Sydal in the future for the X Division Championship. We heard that next week LAX is going to be taking on the Cult of Lee. They're under not new leadership, but apparently Kingston, or King, as he is now called, has taken over as like their leader in the LAX clubhouse. We also found out that next week in the Woods, apparently there's going to be a fight between Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan. So that'll be interesting to see what happens in that one next week. I'm trying to see what else, if there was anything else. That was pretty much it for last night. I know in that Knockouts Championship match, Allie came out dressed kind of like Rosemary, with the paint or face paint stuff that Rosemary wears as far as around her mouth and stuff. So that was pretty interesting to see, but that was not enough to hold on to the Knockouts Championship. As I mentioned, Su Yung became the new Knockouts Champion. But overall, my thoughts on last night's Under Pressure edition of Impact, with the exception of the Scott Steiner-Eli Drake matchup, the rest of the show I thought was pretty good. If you guys did not watch it, I would recommend checking it out from last night to judge for yourself. So with that being said, I'm kind of intrigued of what's going to happen next as far as the storylines they have going. The whole Eddie Edwards, Sami Callihan storyline, the whole who has been attacking all these different people, that whole storyline, and I'm intrigued of what's going to happen with that. So with that being said, once again, I thought last night's episode was actually a pretty good episode of Impact. So with that being said, this has been my review of what happened on last night's episode of Impact Wrestling. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.